Yo, what's going on? Welcome to Korean American Expat. So, yesterday, I went to the social group. We had round one and round two. And what that means is like you have the initial meeting and then you go somewhere else in round two. But I was thinking about this. Yep, the modern woman mentality. Yeah, you know just by that title, you know what's coming. So, I was just thinking about this. So, first, I want to start with my workplace. I teach elementary kids. I remember the one thing the elementary student said: I'm never getting married. I am never getting married. So it's really trickled down all the way down to the elementary level here in South Korea. And then last night, I was talking to, you know, maybe a late 20s Korean girl, and she said the same thing. I am not getting married. And I said, what about marrying a foreigner? Because here's the thing. Okay, if you get married in Korea, if you're like marrying Korean on Korean, your own, cultural race, it gets really difficult because of, you know, the ways the families are. Like you have to do everything. You have to go to a Chuseok, which is the Korean Thanksgiving. You have to go to Seollak, Chinese New Year, and you have to go to your family's house. I get that, okay? So that's why I made the joke, hey, why don't you marry a foreigner? But she's like, nope, that's gonna still be too hard. Because, the foreigner's like, no, you don't have to go. Because I know some of the guys that are married to Korean women that go, yeah, we're not going. Especially like, he's been married to her for like 20 or 30 plus years. It's like, nope, I don't need to go. So, yeah. And, it is just preached down to the elementary level. I'm not getting married. And of course, last night I even said, look, for me, there's no hope here for guys like me here in South Korea. And I'm like, look, if I get married, it's gonna be if I get married, or if I still have that inkling, it'll be somewhere in Southeast Asia. I'm just calling it what it is. And I'm gonna stay over there in Southeast Asia. I'm gonna keep her over there in Southeast Asia. I'm not gonna bring her back to the States or even Korea. And for me, if I do get married, it's for, we're gonna have kids. That's what I want, if that's the case. And of course, and I had some of the modern Western women there too. It's like, what? Yeah, there's no point in getting married. Why get married? For me. So, yeah. So, but that's just, the modern woman thinking. The modern woman, like, what do you mean you gotta have kids with her? No, it is what it is. Because usually there's no point in getting married. And if I'm not going to have kids with her, no point. I'll just like, okay, and maybe I'll still keep her around in Southeast Asia. But the case of this, no, not realistic. And I understand Korea is very unrealistic now. Everything is so expensive. Everything is like all crazy right now with inflation. And yeah. And I do get why a lot of the women here don't want to get married. And of course, in some parts of the social gathering, there's that I knew a couple ladies are getting married, and they're like in their early mid 20s. So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, get married and try to have some kids if you can. But I understand it's very hard. And I said, good, you'll be my fellow F visas. And yeah, they'll get on the F6 spousal visa. I was like, yep, welcome to the F club. So yeah, we'll get yep, go after the same jobs. They'll hire you over me. What do you mean? They'll hire you over me because you're a woman, and sorry, you're white. Even the lady that was in charge, yeah, she's white, but she's from Europe. I said, you'll probably get jobs over me. What? You're a native speaker. No, doesn't matter. If they want a woman, they're going to go after a woman. They usually want more women in the fields of what I do in teaching English. Let's call it what it is. The only reason I got gigs now is because of nationality, being American. And I'm going to push the American. I push it really hard. And it's so effed up that I got to prove how freaking American I am here in Korea. I have to I am an American. Even if that's my hometown. Even if I grew up there, born and bred in the USA. What is it? I was just watching some cowboy. There's a Korean dude, but he's like really a cowboy. I think he's a country singer. I think, Corey Hibbert. Yeah, sounds like a typical white boy name. But he's Asian. Corey Hibbert. And you wouldn't even tell Corey Hibbert if you actually heard him sing or talk. You wouldn't even guess that dude was Asian. Yeah, but sorry, I didn't mean to go off track there, but that's the one Korean guy that I know was born, and of course it probably was an adoptee, and then he was raised in that environment. Hey y'all, I'm Corey Hibbert. But yeah, modern woman mentality, it's trickling down. I see it, and what's going to happen? I mean, we're now back up to a 0.7 childbirth rate. But the modern woman's like, nope, don't want to get married. Heck no. No. So I'm like, yep, I think I'm going to pass on you. And, this Korean chick is not bad looking. I'd say she's probably a 6, which means it's above average. Just to know if guys know the ranking system, 8, 9, and 10 is like really hot. As Kevin Samuel says, Kelly Rowland, Halle Berry in their prime. Then 7, I don't use 7. It's eternal 7 because everyone likes to say, I'm a 7. Nah. So 6 is pretty good. 5 is average. So that's what I base it on, the 10s, 1 through 10. Yeah, even if you hear the feminists go, I'm a 10. I'm like, 10's like perfection. Some say, I'm an 11. Now here you don't hear too much. I'm that on this. It's just conservative country. But yeah, the modern woman thinking is, I don't want to get married. And that's that. This is, it's here in Korea. and you know, like, of course, working hard in your 20s. Some might, you know, in the States, some of them are, or most of the modern women gets ran through and then they want to settle on 30. Sometimes here, yeah, they might have got ran through once or twice and then they just waste their years in their 20s. And then 30's like, okay, please get married. And then under family pressure, get married. But then at this point, no guy wants to deal with even the pretty six, you know, at almost 30 years old. Because I know I don't want to deal with them. And that just comes with more, you know, trauma and all that. So yeah, the modern woman mentality. Yep. I don't want to get married. That's kind of like the theme from last night. I don't want to get married from a lot of the women. So it is what it is. So yeah. So comment your experiences around Korea, Japan, China, or the United States. Comment about, yeah, what do you think about this? And I did try to at least, you know, heart your comments so I see the comments. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I'll see you in my next video.